Good evening, everyone. What is going on? I am so late. Was trying to figure out when Matt is coming on because he is currently ending Rocket Lab Weekly. So he will be on in a moment. But I have some information for everybody. We have our very first sponsor. And before I tell you who the sponsor is, I want to say hello to all the regulars, especially Chels, Lena. Thank you for being here. Jace, Rusty, appreciate everybody hanging out, being here on a Sunday, late afternoon, early evening. Michelle's here. What's going on? So, we have our first official sponsor. And our sponsor is water, the only thing that goes in my hair. I cannot believe the amount of comments that I was reading on my way back home today that people do not believe that I do not use product in my hair. It is crazy. So I got H2O as a sponsor because it's the only thing that goes in my hair. And obviously that's a joke because H2O cannot sponsor me. But no product in the hair. Don't use any product. I just comb it while it's wet and let it dry. Oh no, it just looks like this. I don't know what to tell everybody. It's I truthfully do not use product, so I don't know what to say, everyone. Must be something in the water in New York. Water applied how frequently? I would hope at least once or twice a day. I would hope. Listen, I hope you are drinking our sponsor. H2O is incredibly good for you. Milkman no more. It's Aquaman. I don't know. Isn't Vinny Chase Aquaman? I don't know. Anyway, before we get into it, please take a moment and read the disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. Guests who appear on this show are also potentially not financial advisors. Take everything that you hear on this show with a grain of salt. It is our own personal opinions. Please do your due diligence and please make sure that you are not making decisions based on what other people are doing or saying. So please pause the video, read the disclaimer. Thank you very much. Now let's get to the show. All right. Let's start with, before we get into all the different stuff with the consumer, oil, software, Nvidia. I'm seeing a bunch of things asking where Amit is. I believe Amit's going to be live in a little bit. He's actually in Vegas for CES. So he'll be reporting out of there, I believe. But he should be on tonight. I mean, he's going to be on pretty much all week, I believe. So a lot of stuff on X. Ori, thank you very much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Are we gapping up on Palantir? I don't know. We're going to have to see what happens after hours. I mean, this was a pretty big operation that happened over the weekend. I don't know. I mean, we all know that Palantir is dominant software. We all know that, it is an amazing platform that is used by special forces throughout the Department of Defense. So I don't know if the operation that took place is going to make Palantir gap up or not. I have no idea. I mean, we'll see around 7:45 or 8 o'clock. And yes, RIP the beard. It came off. Probably won't shave again until next weekend. So may grow back a little bit before I hack it off again. We'll see what happens. Yep, Maddie is still on Rocket Lab Weekly. He should be on momentarily. He thought he would be finished by now. And we will see what happens. Not going to grow the mustache. I tried it. One, I didn't like it. and I did it just to kind of make fun of Tanner, but I really didn't like the mustache, and it came in all gray. There wasn't even a speck of normal color in there, so at least with the beard, it's not 100% gray, so it's more salt and pepper, so I can kind of tolerate that. 4 weeks until the meetup. Milky Milk Cocoa Puff. Will you be there? It's crazy that it's already 2026. I cannot believe 2025 is in the rearview mirror, and earnings season will be upon us very shortly. Earnings season will be starting a couple weeks. So I got a lot of things I'm looking at for earnings season. And Lena, I'm with you. I'm bullish Chevron. I want to get Matt's opinion on that. Chevron is right now my favorite super major, my favorite big oil company. It's the one I started adding to. So we'll see what happens. If this is BitMine again texting me, I swear to God. Freaking I'm not hitting stop just to see how many freaking times they text me. These people are ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, CVX and Schlumberger definitely seem like potential beneficiaries of the operation. We'll see what happens. As far as Chevron over Exxon, they're both great companies. I'm a shareholder of both. Look, I particularly like Chevron for several reasons. I will link the video. I'm sorry, I'll link the article that I did on Chevron, and I should make a dedicated video on this. So let me link it. I wrote a couple of weeks ago. So I'll make one of those videos for members only on YouTube out of the article. When I had looked at Chevron, the value proposition was a little bit better than Exxon with more growth. I'm going to bring up the numbers right now for everybody. So, and this is when I had looked at, I haven't redone the valuation. Chevron traded, it's very similar, but it was just under where Exxon traded on a price to EBITDA, price to operating cash, and price to free cash flow. And then when I looked at the earnings growth, Chevron did and does trade at a slightly higher multiple, but they have 10% more EPS growth over the next 2 years from what the street is expecting. And they have implemented a very robust dividend and buyback program. Their dividend was exceeding 4.5%, I believe. Let's see where it is right now. Let's see, CVX. Chevron's dividend yield is 4.4%, getting a little bit higher yield out of it with, I believe, a little bit more dividend growth. 5.8% annualized average dividend growth rate over the past 5 years. It's a big dividend, almost 4 decades of dividend growth. And I think Mike Wirth is one of the best CEOs in the oil patch. So I'm very excited about Chevron for the long term. I think we need more oil and gas. I think we need more sources of traditional energy in addition to more renewable energy. We have a tremendous amount of data centers coming online. And look, the reality is that as third world countries expand and increase their position in the global, I guess, the way that I would put it is as they increase their standard of living, what we think is normalized, such as dishwasher, car, not necessarily running water, in some cases running water, electricity, stable electricity. as third world countries increase their standard of living, they're going to need more oil and gas to power all those things. So I think this is a story where the demand for energy will grow for quite some time. So, I mean, the real time to get into oil was in 2020 and 2021 when everybody was talking about eradicating oil and gas over a 10-year period, which was the stupidest thing I've ever heard. The reality is it touches everything from plastics to clothing. So it's in everything we do. Give me 1 second, everyone. Oh boy. Well, I was with somebody over the weekend and he just texted me. So I apologize. I'm going to let him know that I'm live. I can't turn my ringer off because my wife is not home. So God forbid she needs something, calls me. I don't want to miss her call. But did some firsthand due diligence on the consumer. I was going to wait for Maddie to discuss this, but I guess I'll get into it. So I went to Atlantic City. Very long story how this unfolded because I have not been there for a while, but went down yesterday morning, came back today, and basically, from what I can see, the consumer is very well. I know that we hear different things. I'm going to tell you something. I was shocked. So we went to the Borgata, and you could not get on a table. The amount of people at this place was crazy. I couldn't freaking believe it. And I was very worried about VC properties. So the way that I was playing casino stocks was through VC properties. They own the land and the buildings for the majority of the very large casino operators such as Caesars. And their stock is currently in the gutters. So let me bring a chart up. So VC Properties is a REIT, and if I was to bring up and we'll get into all the interesting stuff after this. If I was to bring up their portfolio, I think it would amaze everybody. They own tremendous amount of property on the Strip in Vegas, largest casino operators out of there, but their stock has really taken a nosedive when rates have been coming down, which is interesting. It's pushed the yield past 6%. I was really interested in going down there. Now, obviously, I was only at Borgata. Borgata is not on the boardwalk, so I did not venture out to any other casinos. I was absolutely floored at the fact that you could barely get onto a table, and every restaurant was packed, every table was packed. The limits on the tables were more than I thought they would be, and I was very surprised at the amount of money that I was seeing on the tables. Gambled for, I think, 6 hours or so while I was down there. I think my buddy gambled for about 8 or 9 hours, maybe a little bit longer. And I don't know. Is this considered a holiday weekend? I mean, I see what you said, Lisa. I can't see that this would be a holiday weekend. I would have thought that people would have left after New Year's. Maybe it is. And yeah, Lena, I know that they increased the limits on the weekend, but the amount of money that was on the tables, it did not seem like I was just shocked. Maybe it's because I haven't been to a casino in a while. I was shocked at what I was seeing. Regardless, it seems like the casinos are not having a problem. I'm interested to see what Amit has to say, being out in Vegas. I'm not sure if he is where CES is taking place or how many different hotels / casinos he's going to be going to throughout the week. But I asked him to keep an eye out for me to see. And it's hard because everybody's in town for CES. Vegas is going to seem like it's packed. So this may not be the best week to really judge Vegas by. But Lena, have you been to Borgata? Oh boy. I guess your family goes there? Yeah, it's freaking nice. I mean, uh, I think for me, from what I remember, I would say Hard Rock definitely, and that's newer. Ocean and Hard Rock are the nicer ones. I used to like Caesars, but I feel like Caesars went downhill and our host left and went to Borgata. So Borgata it is from here on out for us, I guess. But it was great. Our host had dinner with us, and it was just it was good to see him. It was really good. Oh, that's awesome, Michelle. Your mom's group goes a couple times a year. That's great. She always wins. Listen, I want to know what her secret is if she always wins. Damn. I did okay. My buddy did really good. I did okay. I got to tell you, my new thing that I'm going to start doing, and we'll get into more stocks in a minute or two. I'm going to really learn how to play Baccarat. I mean, it's not a hard game. Premise is pretty freaking easy. I need to game theory it and see. I mean, the martingale system is kind of stupid because you can do that almost with anything, but I don't know. It was you would think on a game when if you're just playing banker or betting on banker that eventually it's going to come up. I had player come up 7 or 8 times in a row. It was freaking wild. I need to figure out a better strategy for that. But craps is my game, and I spent the majority of the time on the craps table. And look who it is.
Just hide me? What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Think you're better than me?
What do you think you're better than me?
Sorry about that. I did not expect to go an additional half
It's,
hour.
it's
Normally,
all your fault.
you're
I
right.
asked you a time. I thought you realized that whenever I talk about time, I talk about Eastern Standard, and then I move it because yeah, no problem, no problem.
I'm just trying to keep up with you, Steve, and I can't.
Listen,
You're
right
just
now I'm talking about VC properties because that's my play on the casinos, Maddie.
Steve. I had people literally message me like, "Is Steve okay?" I'm like, the guy can't even take a fucking day off, guys.
I almost streamed last night from the hotel room, but my buddy would not let me. Like, I wanted to go to the room at 11:30 or my room at 11:30 or 12 and call it a night, and he forced me to stay up and freaking gamble.
Hysterical. But like somebody literally messaged like an hour ago, like, "Is Steve okay? Has anyone heard?"
I
Like the
was
dude is within the last 48 hours. Like, calm down.
I was legitimately thinking about doing a stream from the hotel room.
Steve, did you see my thumbnail?
I did. It's gangster. You're ridiculous. You made us look like some European freaking gun runners. Is what you made us look like.
Like the scene from War Dogs where they're in wherever the hell they are.
I was just thinking you made us look like Bradley Cooper's people in War Dogs.
I mean,
You kind of did.
some people say that me and Jonah Hill look alike. So
I mean,
before Jonah Hill looks the way he does now, because he's changed his style, I'll say.
Maddie, when you are in the area again, we're gonna have to meet up down in Asa.
Some may say, Steve, and it's really not too big of a drive for me if I'm staying. Well, I would love to stay in AC.
Well, I'll tell you, the old homestead was freaking great. My
Did
buddy
you do any
didn't wanna
exploring
come.
for real estate, or did you just not leave the casino?
No, I didn't leave. I did my due diligence at the Borgata about how the gaming industry is going to make my assessment if I'm going to buy more VC properties. It's stupid because I only visited one property, but it was packed, wall to wall people.
That's surprising to hear. Maybe I need to. Was it tuned up? Because it's been a couple years since you've been, right?
Yeah, I mean, we stayed in the MGM Tower, which was previously the Water Club, and I thought the room I had was very nice.
No, I meant just like the local area, not like
Oh,
obviously.
well, let's not talk about
Borgata's
the
great.
local area.
Well, I was, potentially there's some places in Ventnor that you can buy, and Ventnor, is up and coming. The prices are going up. You can buy some nice beach properties there.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's just say that when I'm there, I tend to stay at wherever I am. But We had some good luck on the dice. Craps treated us very well, so
That's why they pay the big bucks,
it
Steve.
was good. So, Matt, I want to get your opinion, and I don't want to get political.
I want to give you your thoughts, my thoughts.
I want your thoughts on, do you think the price of oil is going down over the next 6 months, or do you think it'll just be stable where we are?
Down over the next 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, do you think we'll see oil trend downward? Or do you think this operation in Venezuela is not going to have much to do with the price of oil?
It's good. I mean, you can't turn that shit around on a dime. I mean, I don't think that people fully recognize, like, it does. You can't. It takes 30 to 60 days to drill some of these wells, and you have to plan it first, right? Like, I don't, maybe if there's some short-term movements that maybe sway things one way or the other, but I just don't think that, Venezuela is not going to go from making 1 million barrels a day to 5 million barrels a day, which I fully believe that they have the capability to do so, depending on how aggressive people want to be. But you also have to think, like, this isn't the highest quality crude. This is very sour, meaning a lot of sulfur, very heavy oils. Majority of the time, it's not to say all the oil from Venezuela is heavy, but the majority of the fields that have been developed are more heavier oils. And so you need special refining capabilities. So a lot of it at the moment, I think, goes to China. But yeah, I'm not 100% certain as to. I think we still get, like, we're getting like 150,000 barrels a day. So I don't know. Don't know the answer to your question, but I'm gonna say oil is aplenty here in the world at the moment. So I don't necessarily know if it's gonna lower prices substantially, because it's gonna take some time. But I think oil is gonna be about where it's at right now for at least the first half of the year.
And is heavy oil more for refined products and diesel?
Yeah, more diesels, or potentially creating tars and the stuff that you put in roads, and the stuff that you put on. Well, it used to be the stuff that you put on roofs and stuff, but I don't think you really do that. But think asphalt, think that sort of stuff.
You think Chevron benefits from this?
Chevron has some assets. There's a lot of companies that are going to benefit from this.
Okay. Maybe I will.
And this was stuff that was, sorry, I just want to say, like, there was stuff that was in the works that was, how should I phrase this? I can't say too much.
How
But
about
there
let's
was
not?
stuff that,
How about let's not phrase it?
no, this is fine. There's stuff that was in the works that was going to happen in 2024, 2025, that several companies were working on, but because the increased sanctions after Maduro refused to believe the election results in 2024, there was increased sanctions, obviously, and after those increased sanctions, a lot of that stuff got put on hold. And so now I'm assuming that those things will be reversed now that we have the opportunity to potentially go in and develop them. And a lot of that's going to help, I think, with providing cash flow to the local government. And I think it's going to be great.
Gotcha.
I'm curious to see what kind of structure they do, though. Are they going to follow the? I hope they follow kind of like the model that we have here in the U.S. and the model that we have offshore. I think it's a really good, well done model to replicate what we do in the United States. And private citizens should be, have the ability to write contracts for their mineral rights and get a percentage ownership of it. But that's kind of tough to say, because those assets have been nationalized for so long that who's to say that where these people are producing oil, if that wasn't just taken over by the government, just because it had oil, and that it doesn't belong to anybody. But versus the United States, like, if somebody makes a barrel of oil in Texas and somebody owns the land, they're getting 20 to 25% of the revenue from that without putting any money in, right? We're just talking about right off the top, 20 to 25%. So And then offshore, you're talking about 18.75% these days. So 3/16 of every barrel goes directly to the U.S. government. If you look at it, actually, the government in the Gulf of America, the U.S. government's probably the largest oil producer, if you think about it in that perspective, because it ranges anywhere between 12 and a half to 20% royalty. Some are royalty free if there's really low lease years, but most of the time. So if you think about it, there's 2.5 million barrels of oil a day made in the Gulf of America, and so that puts them up pretty close to the largest oil producers in the Gulf of America, because they passively, the United States, owns 12 and a half to 18.75%.
How much do you love saying Gulf of America?
I like it.
I like it too, Matt. It's got a good ring to it.
You have a good ring too, Steve. I'm glad you're able to take the day off.
What are you wearing right there? You got a different watch on?
Oh, it's my dad's old watch.
Oh, very nice.
It's a Burberry. Nothing fancy. Just the sentimental value is more than the value.
Definitely. So where do you want to go from here? There's a few things. So people have been wondering about software stocks because they took a bit of a hit. I have my own theory on that. People have been asking about the Nvidia. I don't even know how to pronounce this company out of South Korea. I'm going to try. Fiorillo AI. Have you heard about this yet? I looked into it a little bit. I think it's a nothing burger, but I do have a bunch of notes on it. What would you like to discuss, Matt?
So much opportunity, Steve.
Where are you seeing opportunity, Matt? Don't go back. Let us know.
LNG, man. I'm pretty agreed about that. The other thing that I've been looking at as well is like what robotics do I want to get into? And again, the thing that I love most is like the thing that I think people need to recognize. And sorry if this is a tangent you don't want to go down, we can steer the ship back, but let me at least complete this thought. Is people need to recognize, like, when they invest in an industry, that there's likelihood to be subsectors within that industry. And so like real estate, for example, you could invest in new builds, you can invest in single family, you can invest in multifamily, you can invest in commercial properties, you can invest in triple net. And so each of those has their own quirks about it. And so one of the things that I've been focusing on is, like, for robotics, like, what robotics do I want to buy into, Steve? Like, do I want to buy into humanoid robotics? Do I want to buy into industrial robotics? Do I want to buy into like large warehouse robotics, like Symbotic? Like, what's particularly, when I talk about robotics, like, do I only want to have humanoid or consumer facing sort of robotics, or do I actually want to have some of those Amazon type robots, so Symbotic type robots that really do warehouse organization and eliminates a lot of that. So yeah, it's very peculiar, right? Like, where do you begin? Because each of them has their own subset of what they're going to be doing for society. So I don't know.
So let me ask you this. I think we can all agree robotics is going to be big, and it's going to be the future to some degree.
You're the future, Steve.
If we can't figure out which robotics companies to invest in, why not increase exposure to Nvidia? Because the one thing that we have to at least consider is that we're going to need so much more compute in order for robotics, not just in the actual robots, whether they're droids or little rover type thingies, but they are likely going to be hooked up via some type of neural network, Wi-Fi network, Bluetooth network, whatever it is, and getting smarter as more tasks are performed. And that's going to create a tremendous amount of compute needed in data centers. So we're probably going to need a lot more. Why wouldn't we go an indirect play with the companies that we know are leading the way in that.
I don't know. You love your Nvidia, Steve. I'm not going to try to talk you out of it.
No, listen, I do love my Nvidia. I do think that Nvidia is going to go up substantially over the next several years. And look, I'm still not sold on venturing outside of Tesla at the moment if you want robotics, because I think what Elon proved with vehicles, the reality is that he went against Ford and GM in an environment where nobody thought he could succeed, especially in a world where EVs were not real. I mean, we had the Leaf from Nissan and maybe the Volt from Chevy. That was really it. I mean, nobody really. What are you doing? You putting a different Palantir hat on?
It matches more with my.
Guy goes from one Palantir hat to another. You got to tell them to get the Palantir shop back up.
I was actually looking for my blue one. I don't know where it's at. I need to put hooks. That's probably something I should do. Actually, is put hooks somewhere in the background and put
Okay.
on my hats. Sorry.
Well, Elon went up against the auto manufacturers and won. He has established a winning track record of manufacturing at mass scale. So if we're going to look at a robot play, we have to at least give Elon and Tesla the benefit of the doubt that they will be able to outproduce everybody on robotics. And if Optimus really is ahead of the game on the humanoid front, then at some point the Optimus bots will be building or be the ones expanding factories. So they may be able to grow at an exponential rate.
Not wrong,
So,
Steve.
I mean, it's hard for me to venture into these little small companies when Elon's really doing it.
Optimus is making moves, man. So I don't know. I don't think you can bet against him.
Anybody who has bet against Tesla has not succeeded.
And that's the thing. I think that if you're looking at, I mean, it's not to say that there won't be, like, Figure obviously has done a good job so far. But do they have the capability to keep going? And I think they're about to raise more money if they haven't just raised money. I forget what it was. I think they just raised money as well. I think they just raised like $1 billion or something like that.
I
But
have no idea.
the where you need to look is like, where is Tesla not going to be? And that's why I'm kind of bullish on kind of these warehouse robotics to an extent. And, you know, I haven't made a decision as of yet if I'm going to enter it. But then you see that Amazon has their own. So will Amazon get into the robotics? Were they just mostly focus on what they have? And I think it's going to be more of the latter.
I mean, we know that they're involved in robotics. The question is, are they going to go consumer or are they going to keep it internal? That's the real question with them.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like they're already involved. Like they're already building and producing. The question is, are they going to mainstreaming have humanoid or little droid robotics for sale on Amazon, fulfilled by Amazon? I don't know because they're not necessarily a consumer facing manufacturing company, but we know Tesla is. And look, if they were able to do this with vehicles, I have to think that they can do it with robotics. And it makes me a little skeptical about going down the trail of a serve robotics or something like that.
Yeah, serve isn't out of the question either. I don't know.
I've looked
Trying
into
to keep up with
them.
you, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked into serve. I thought it was really overvalued for what it is. And I'm having a hard time at seeing little R2D2s rolling around city streets and us just grabbing our food out of it. Maybe that
Yeah,
happened, but I don't know.
I think it's too early. There's, how do I say? I don't know how many particularly are out there running, but I think that by the end of this year they were trying to get to 2,000, and so I'm curious where they're kind of get to. that 2000 number gets you to about a 65 to 80 million dollar run rate, and they won't make money on that. And so it kind of makes you think, the thing that's beneficial for Serve Robotics is it has a low float count. So I think there's like, I don't, I'm gonna get the number wrong, so don't hang me, but like 50 million shares or something stupid. So it's like if you were to actually start moving this and start generating money, the actual shares will probably rocket faster than, say, some of these other companies. If you're thinking, like, what's a good example? Amazon, for example, it going up, you know, uh, $100 million in profit isn't going to move the EPS very much because there's 10 billion shares outstanding. Versus this company, if you have $10 million in profit, it's going to be a huge EPS move, and so that would mean, the stock moves potentially larger. So I don't know. Just some food for thought. The thing with Serve is I'm going to watch that one over the course of the year. I think it's a pivotal year for them because obviously they've ramped up so much. The thing that scares me about Symbotic is that Walmart is like 85% of the revenue, and it's like 85% of their backlog, which isn't horrible per se, but there's obviously the single customer risk, and how quickly is Target going to ramp up and things like that. So obviously they've been in business since like 2015 with Walmart, so building out that infrastructure has taken some time. And so what I don't know is the status upon, and maybe it requires me listening more into like the conference calls and doing deep, like this is what you need to do, people. Like, I literally read through the entire 10K last quarter. I'm probably going to read through the 10K from a couple quarters ago to see what's changed. I'm going to listen to all these conference calls before I even start to initiate a position. And this is the sort of shit that you need to do. Like if you're not prepared to do this shit, then if you want to lose money, like go for it. But to me, it's like I want to make sure if I'm getting involved in something like this, that I understand the potential risks that then can occur. Because I think so many times people get involved and they get sideswiped and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to me. And it was like obvious. Sorry.
I'm with you. I still think all roads lead back to Tesla, only because who's to say that Optimus is the only thing that they're going to do? If these little droid things like the Serve robotic platform is going to be real, why wouldn't Elon do that also?
I guess it just depends on what he thinks is the biggest revenue generator.
And don't get me wrong, I hate the valuation on Tesla, but I think I hate the valuation on Serve more. So I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, service evaluation right now. I mean, they're hemorrhaging cash, so it just doesn't make sense to.
Yeah, we'll see. But I still think from robotics, all roads lead back to Tesla, and then ultimately, all roads lead back to Nvidia to a degree. Maybe Matt will be correct, or we'll get some better entries. I mean, I can definitely see that the market dips in 2026, even though I ultimately think we finish around 8,000. I'm not smart enough to know if Nvidia is going to come back down to 170 or not. What I do know is that China revenue has not kicked in yet, and that's going to be a huge market. They are. Did you see the news out of China, by the way, Matt, with Nvidia?
No.
Okay. I want to bring up the news out of China. This was from the other day. Give me one sec. All right, here we go. So this is another thing that is in NVIDIA's back pocket, everyone. NVIDIA is said to approach Taiwan Semi to boost H200 production amid China's surge. So Chinese technology companies have placed orders to the tune of 2 million H200s GPUs, whereas NVIDIA only has 700,000 units in stock. And out of the 700,000 units, approximately 100,000 are GH200 Grace Hoppers. while the remainder are H200 GPUs. So separately on Wednesday, the South China Morning Post reported that ByteDance intends to spend about $14 billion on Nvidia GPUs in 2026 for its computing needs. Now, this is what I would say to this. If this is true, and also licensed sales of the H200 to authorized customers in China will have no impact on our ability to supply customers in the US. Spokesperson from, I guess, Nvidia said, offering the H200 to approved commercial customers vetted by the Department of Commerce strikes a thoughtful balance. So, Nvidia is looking to increase production from Taiwan Semi, and this is just one company in China. And if the chips coming out of China were real in the fact that they were a real threat to Nvidia's chips, you would not see this type of demand coming into Nvidia and Nvidia going to Taiwan Semi trying to get them to increase production. This comes on the heels of Rubin coming out, which should create a huge runway of growth. Jensen is quarter over quarter going from 57 billion, which was a 63% year over year increase in revenue, to 65 billion plus or minus 2% in Q4. And then next year, they're expected to get to over 300 billion in revenue. I just think that this is something where Nvidia is cheap here. And from a chip standpoint, we saw it in the mock stock draft tourneys. As much as I think Broadcom's getting interesting, I am backing Nvidia with, buying more shares. I do think that if we are going to get some breakthroughs in robotics, that's super bullish on Nvidia.
Not wrong with it.
At what point can we get you involved in Nvidia, Maddie?
I was at one point in 2020. When was it? In the 120s? Was that earlier in
It was in the
2025?
120s in 2025.
Yeah. So I think I was involved at that point, and I think I sold in like the 130s, 140s, or something like that. I forget what it was. It wasn't a lot. I think it was like just 100 shares. Maybe it was 200. I don't remember. I should look it up.
Is there any valuation or price point you get more interested in?
At this point, just the uncertainty around
CapEx demand?
Yeah, CapEx demand and understanding that. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, I really wish everyone well. I like the company. I don't dislike the company. I believe personally that we're just going to hit some sort of wall at some point. It's not going to go to zero or anything like that, but I'd rather, once I know that and understand that, and we start to get to that bottom feed of that cycle, I'd much rather take the opportunity then than in the middle of this current cycle. And that's just me. I'm not saying that anyone's wrong or that I wish them poorly or anything like that. I just think easy money has been made a little bit, and I think there's going to be some turmoil, unfortunately.
Can't hear you. You're like cutting out.
Oh, sorry. I think there's just going to be some turmoil, unfortunately.
Yeah, look, I'm with you on CapEx eventually plateauing. I just don't know when that's going to happen, and it does not look like, from what we are seeing, that will be the case in 2026. Now, maybe in 2027 or 2028, that really starts to happen. But at least for 2026, all the big hyperscalers are all increasing their capital they're allocating. So I feel good about it. We'll see what happens. I also think that the news on, I don't even know how to pronounce this, Fiorillo AI, or however we want to do it. I mean, it's a Seoul-based AI chip startup that was founded in 2017. It's positioned itself as an AI accelerator company. Maybe that's why Nvidia just purchased the other company for $2 billion or so. It was reported that they rejected an acquisition offer from Meta of around 800 million, which some people took as a signal that its platform could potentially be an alternative to Nvidia. Obviously, in the revenue, that's not showing up right now. They have a first generation chip called Warboy that's positioned for inference, and they say on the specs it can do 64 teraflops. I don't know what all this other stuff is. And the Gen 2 chip, which is their Renegade chip, is marketed as a data center inference accelerator for LLM and multi-model inference. So a lot of people know there was an article in the Wall Street Journal about this, and this company is reportedly publicizing that they have throughput claims in the 2,000 to 3,000 tokens per second on certain 10 billion parameter class scenarios. I mean, we would need to get somebody who really understands all the tech mumbo jumbo about this on here. They announced an LG AI research selected Renegade to run some new model, and it's some new collaboration. And I think that's why it's getting a lot of steam. They're increasing their go to market strategy. But is it a competitive threat to Nvidia? I have no idea. I think the reality is that so many people are utilizing the CUDA software system, and so many people are ingrained on the Nvidia platform. It is likely that Rubin is going to be vastly superior than Blackwell, and everybody's lining up for it. So I go where the money is. I follow the money. I'm not smart enough to understand what all these nuances are from chip to chip. I look at where the orders are going, and the orders are going to Nvidia. So that's where I'm staying. So I'll try to do more research into them, but I don't know. I think this is a nothing burger. That's just my own personal opinion.
Nvidia, I did not own in 2025. I owned it in 2024, and I only held it for a couple months, but made what it looks like to be just under 20%
Okay.
on it. So
20% is nothing to sneeze at.
well, it's just one of those things where, I was bullish in 24, 25, but I was always kind of wondering at what point do you hit some sort of wall. And, unfortunately, it's been something that I'm skeptical of. And I'm, like I said, I'm not against it, but it's just, for me, it's something I'm staying out of. So, and I love seeing people talk about Rocket Lab poorly in the chat. It's like they literally, they're probably like Chris Patel. They still think it's just a launch company. They don't realize they have any satellites and shit like that.
They don't do home loans?
They don't do home loans, Steve, believe it or not.
I can't believe it. I thought they did home loans.
Now you know. No, I just love it. Like, if somebody did their full due diligence read through and everything like that, and then they said Rocket Lab was a garbage company, I'd be like, okay, cool, give me a reason. And then people are just like chirping up, like, it's a garbage company. It's like, well, why? And then I see this all the time. I get like, you guys have to think. I got, I'm not Steve Fiorillo over here, but I got a few thousand followers on some accounts, and I'll just have people be like, it's a garbage company. I'm like, hey, can you tell me why? And then I never hear from them again. They disappear into the ether, have zero reason as to why they think it's a garbage company. And then they just disappear. So it's funny when you actually ask people, like, use words that actually give me thoughts rather than this company fucking sucks, then they just disappear.
I mean, I think it's hard to say that the company sucks. I mean,
that's what people in your chat are saying, Steve.
I mean,
said it's a garbage company.
I don't know if we
not talking waste management over here.
Waste management is a garbage company. I mean, they're the largest garbage company, not a bad company, but they are waste management. They play in the garbage space. Look, I'm not a Rocket Lab person. Matt's been right on it, and it's been growing. I don't. Space is not for me, and I've said that from the beginning. I don't try to understand it. It's not for me, and maybe it keeps going up. He knows a ton about it. I know nothing about it, so don't look to me for Rocket Lab. I know nothing about it, so.
Right here first, Steve.
Yeah. But maybe space is the future. Maybe I've been wrong on it. So we'll see what happens. I mean, shit, if SpaceX can get to an 800 billion valuation, maybe Rocket Lab can keep growing.
Every company I choose, everyone thinks is going to zero. So they thought Palantir was going to zero, Rocket Lab was going to zero,
Yeah, but
Venture
maybe they're
Global,
just
next
saying
decade.
that because that's your tagline. It's going to zero.
No. These are actual people that think these companies are, and that's part of the reason why I started that tagline. Whenever somebody's just like, that company sucks, but it's going to zero. Nvidia, Steve, going to zero.
Crude oil falls in early futures trading. Let's see. Oh boy, this is interesting. You just said waste management. Get JP Morgan names top income stock picks for 2026. And Maddie, look what's on here.
I'm curious. Waste management's always been a phenomenal buy. Me and my buddy have talked about it forever.
Waste motherfucking management.
265. I don't even want to see that, Steve.
What's
I'm
it
so
at?
upset with myself.
What's it
They're
at?
predicting 265. Is that what it
What's
is
it
right
at?
now? I don't know, but regardless, I don't care what it is at. It's the fact
You
that
know
I
what
don't
else is
have.
on here? Look at this. Starwood. That's a personal favorite of mine. Barry Sternlich, my opinion, one of the great CEOs in the REIT space. Love me some Starwood. They got ExxonMobil over Chevron, which is interesting, and Apollo Commercial Real Estate.
Stephen Fiorillo Capital.
I do like Starwood a lot.
Starwood's a good one for people. Anybody that's looking at Starwood, of course, you're going to get the majority of your returns through a dividend, but you also have to keep in mind you're not going to get a lot of capital appreciation. If you're expecting it to go to like $30 or something like that, they pretty much put a lot of their money through the dividend. But if you're able to buy it at 18, 19 and hold it while you wait and eventually sell it once it gets to 21, 22, then you're sitting happy.
And get that 10.5% yield locked in at these prices.
I don't hate it, Steve.
I don't hate it either. I mean, I bought more Starwood the other week. I've owned
Really well
Starwood
run. Really
for a
well
long
run.
time.
Yeah, it's well run.
They've been in a position where they've been able to reinvest in the portfolio, make acquisitions of properties, and really increase the originations and their lending in a period where their competitors haven't been able to because of the higher rate environment. And I think that's going to show off in the next couple of years. So we'll see what happens.
Steve, what are we buying next, my guy?
It's hard. I mean,
full port MGM, full port. What are we doing?
I like VC over MGM, but I gotta tell you, I'm starting to warm up to something that I used to shit on.
Win Resorts or Caesars?
I'm starting to warm up to HIMS.
Oh, HIMS. What's it down to these days?
30 something.
HIMS is one that I got completely wrong.
Short interest is close to 30%. It's down to 33.41. It's fallen 54% from the 52-week highs. Now, there's a lot of problems with it. One of the biggest problems is the growth has stopped.
Stopped or arrested slightly?
Well, I would say stopped on a quarterly basis. I mean, if I bring up what they're doing,
yeah,
this is the problem that I have with HIMS.
Another piece is I know that the problem that they're starting to see is the issues with selling GLP-1s.
Yeah, Norvo Notice was also hit in 2025, breaking their deal, saying that they were not being truthful in certain things. But I mean, they had tremendous quarter over quarter for a while. And ever since March through March, over the past 2 years, there was quarter over quarter growth in the revenue numbers. And then it decelerated. And then it only increased 11 million from September from Q3 to Q1. So I want to see what the Q4 numbers are before I make any decisions. But it's been being up so much, and this could be something that is interesting at a 30% short interest. Because if they have a couple of bang out quarters in 26, this could get back to 50-55.
Hmm.
I mean, 30% short, you got to think this company's going out of business for to get that high of a short level.
What kind of income are they pulling off of that?
Yeah, that's another problem. So
That is a
good growth,
problem.
good gross profit. Let me make it bigger. I just realized you can barely say. Good gross profit, right?
Their
Problem
SG&A
is
has exploded
that
massively.
freaking operating income sucks. I mean, they're barely profitable. And I don't know why their other operating expenses went up. Did they have to fight? Did they have to pay PR firms to fight the Norvo thing? Was there additional expenses because of it? I haven't had a chance to read through the quarterly report yet or the earnings call, but I would want an explanation of why they hit 59 million in operating income, then declined to 26 and 12.
Yeah, their
Maddie,
ops margin's going the wrong
that
way.
was a big yawn for 6 o'clock, 6:15 your time.
I'm a big man, Steve. I need
That
a
was
big
a
nap.
big yawn.
I'm also going on like 24 hours of no food.
What are you
Just
doing?
liquids. I just eat my one meal a day, Steve.
Okay.
But
You
no,
don't get
SG&A has gone up pretty expansively, like over 100%.
you don't get headaches from doing that?
No,
Okay. This is a company that's interesting, but I don't know, man.
well, I'm glad you brought it to my attention because when I was in, um, I mean, I think Tevis and I were writing
He
puts in the
loves this
40s.
company. I mean, look at the earnings growth. That's interesting. So this year's a shitty year. Earnings growth is going down, but big double-digit earnings growth the next several years, supposedly, per the analyst community.
See, this is the thing. Like when you look at overall top line, it might look scary, but I think the thing that you need to look at is if they separate the revenue in the 10Q into, and this might help with your thesis. If you look at the 10Q, sometimes in the revenue streams, they break it into the individuals, like how AWS gets broken out in Amazon versus e-commerce versus international. And that might be able to help you because it's like if they just broke out GLP-1s and said, okay, well, that's obviously going to zero or whatever ends up happening with it, but you still have large growth vectors in all these other areas that are not slowing down and don't have this regulatory issue or competition issue or they're not getting sued, etc., then yeah, 2025, 2026, you might have a stumbling point, but it powers through that.
I
I don't
also
know.
think this is part of it too, that the revenue growth year over year is really decelerating a ton. I mean, you're going from basically 60% to 18%.
Yeah, that's a piece of it.
So
But
now,
that ops margin really scares me. I'm curious if
same here.
that's so. Yeah, they would need to.
But the balance sheet's fine. So I need to look at the shares, but I mean, they have 630 million in cash. They only have 971 million in debt. So from an operating standpoint, their debt to cash ratio is fine. I'm surprised that the company is a $7.5 billion company. The real question is this something they can get acquired? And I never make plays based off of can they get acquired or not, but I'm starting to think, is this something that can get acquired?
I don't know if this is one of those things that's like founder operated or what. That's something I
I don't know enough about it, but this looks interesting.
might be able to tell you more.
Yeah, I gotta do more due diligence, but Hibbs is on the top of my list for stuff I need to look into.
You're at the top of my list of looking things I need to look into, Steve.
Um, yeah, I don't know what to say to that, man.
You had an interesting article. I don't know if you talked about it on Friday.
Which article?
The Veritas.
Ah, Vertiv.
Vertiv, that's what it was. Vertiv.
Mhm.
And that's the data infrastructure play. And I wanted to get your thoughts. Did you talk about it already, or am I bringing
No,
up old news? I think
no,
it'd be a good opportunity because I think a lot of people think that 26 is still going to be a huge year for data
yeah.
centers. And I read through it, and it was a really good article. So
You read the
congratulations on that.
article?
I read, Steve. I try to read as much as I can. I can't get to everything, but
Thank you.
it's been a weekend of reading. I did get an episode. You can give me your applause after the
Well, hold
stream, but I
on.
did. Can we get
When
Tanner on here?
what'd you watch?
I was gonna say an episode and a half of Billions,
All right.
but I'm trying to finish reading um, The Philosopher in the Valley. I didn't finish it yet, so I'm trying to finish that. So I enjoyed a nice cigar yesterday. That's when I called you.
Okay.
Did we talk last night or just this morning? No.
No.
When I called you, I think you had a brief moment to call me yesterday, and then we were playing phone tag and just couldn't link up. Oh, our boy Tanner's headed to CES.
Yeah, I sent him the link, but he doesn't want to come on from the airport.
How could he?
I mean, he can put an earbud in.
I've done that.
Yeah, so look, Vertiv is very interesting. I think it's one of those companies that if you believe in the AI expansion, and it's a very easy premise. The premise is it's not just Vertiv, it's Eden, it's all those companies that provide power, cooling, and the infrastructure for data centers. If we need more Nvidia chips and if we need more servers, then we are going to need more companies that are providing essential power and cooling infrastructure. And it's not just about GPUs from Nvidia, it's about TPUs from Amazon, TPUs from Alphabet, basically more server space or more data center space. We're going to need more power and cooling. So it's a very easy premise to understand. And then when I go into it, the numbers are very interesting. I don't own Vertiv, but I'm warming up to the idea. I love the revenue growth. The margins are interesting. They're growing their profitability. And when I look at the forward numbers on a per share basis versus their peers, Vertiv trades at or traded at an interesting multiple. So Eden trades at 20 times, Amatech trades at 24 times, Vertiv 24 and a half times. But Vertiv is expected to have 60% EPS growth over the next 2 years, where Eden is less than 30%. So I wouldn't mind paying a little bit of a higher multiple for so much more growth on the horizon. That tells me companies are putting a higher regard on Vertiv's products and purchasing more. So it's interesting. I mean, when I look at the RPO backlog, that's the biggest thing that makes me sell this in my mind to myself that with all the RPO, the current structure for Microsoft, for Amazon, Alphabet, Oracle cannot fulfill it. Like they have to expand. And if they have to expand, these other companies that are derivative plays are going to see significant revenue increases.
Well put, Steve.
So it's a simple thesis.
Can I coach your chat and my chat maybe for a second?
Go ahead.
So I'm seeing a lot of people like just in general, it's a small subset, so not everybody, but I'm seeing enough where it's like the company sucks. It's like you're like a toddler, right? If you give a comment like that, you could say something like if I just showed up and be like, that company sucks, you guys wouldn't watch my stream. You want to hear about the follow-on, why it's good, why Steve, like the whole description of why he thinks Veritiv is a good opportunity and the revenue is going to grow and what catalysts. If you just say this company sucks, we're not going to take you or be able to understand or give you any sort of feedback as to whether or not we agree with you. because there's no substance to that other than that company sucks. Like, we can't combat or have any sort of intelligent conversation with that. So if you really want to be a member of the chat that's taken seriously, maybe you don't want to be taken seriously. Maybe you're just a paid shill, and you really want to just show up like an idiot. Then sure, keep doing that. But if you want to be taken seriously in the chat and actually look like you have some intelligence and a brain between your two ears, then just a light suggestion that you actually say, I don't like that company because I think we're long in the tooth in the business cycle, or I think that data centers have been overrun and the valuation just doesn't make sense, or I don't think that growth rate makes sense. Therefore, I think that the price to earnings multiple is going to come down. That's something that I think that we could be like, oh, I disagree with here X, Y, and Z. But having an unintelligent comment like that company sucks. Anyway.
No, listen, you're not wrong. I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody. And all I ask is you give some context as to where you're coming from. That way we can actually have a conversation around something. So the reality is that when I look at where the analysts track the industry that Vertiv plays in, this year they're coming off a huge growth year. 25 analysts have them growing their revenue, or I'm sorry, their EPS by 28% next year, 24.5% in 2027. That's a lot of EPS growth. And on the revenue side, high double digits. So 20.5% next year, 16.5% in 2027. That is very interesting. So when you combine everything that we know about the earnings calls from the hyperscalers in Q3, I am betting that we see a continuation of that in Q4, which starts in 3 weeks. And if we do get that, then we could see these data center plays. And look, everybody's bullish on Nebius and CoreWeave and IREN. For those companies to succeed and expand their footprint, companies like Vertiv would have to succeed. So it's not just the hyperscalers, it's not just Nvidia. For the neoclouds to expand and succeed, you would need these.
Is GXO going to see any trickle down from that, or is it more residential?
Amit, if you want to come on for a moment before your stream, I just sent you a link on WhatsApp. I just saw that you're in the chat.
Did they see Quant?
What?
No? The Daisy Quant? No? Amit? Is it Daisy Quant? No?
Dude, Amit is the CES Quant.
Here to hear first. I'm excited to see what potential comes out from his CES adventures this week. Proud of Amit. He does a lot of good work. He's really, the amount of time he dedicates to you guys is insane.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm interested to see what products we're gonna see out of CES. And if Amit wants to come on, he's always welcome. The link is in his WhatsApp. He may be busy though, but want to get to this real quick. Thank you very much, Mosh Stocks. Appreciate it. Can you please look into TSM? I've looked at their depreciation schedule, and I believe a number of assets will finish their 5-year schedule 2026. I'm expecting an unexpected earnings bump. If you're correct, that would be very interesting. I am not an accountant, but I'm happy to call in a favor, and I'm happy to ask Ken if he can look into their depreciation schedule for me and report back, because he is actually a CPA, and I would not want to make a mistake or mislead anybody on that. I can do research on it, but I would feel better actually having a CPA that I can reach out to look at it for me. So I would be happy to do that and get back to you on that. And if that's true, I don't know. TSM is the one company that drives me crazy because we all missed it in our crew. We all missed it. We all looked right past it. It's crazy for all of these companies, AMD, Broadcom, Nvidia, Micron. TSM was the bedrock of this whole surge in semis, and I don't know if any of us own it.
No, you can't own every stock though, Steve.
Why not?
Oh well, you're on a better path than that than anybody. But
No, I'm not. But I mean, why not? Why can't we, Matt? We should be able to.
technically, you can buy VTI.
I mean, you could. I'm not a fan of VTI, but you could. You could. But yeah, TSM I think is going to do really well, especially if their biggest customer is increasing their orders with them. So I think all those companies will do well.
So let me ask you a question. What are you getting? And I know there's obvious differences as to what TSM is providing and bringing to the table
Yeah.
versus Nvidia, but if you already kind of have exposure to that growth through people wanting to spend more capital expenditures and things of the like is there really I don't know the answer to this because I don't know enough about TSM, but is there really a big difference in terms of what segment of the market you're getting, right? And this is complete out of complete ignorance, right? Because it could be what I'm explaining is like investing in an upstream oil and gas company versus a midstream or downstream, right? Like it completely can be different and disparate. And I just am so uneducated on it. Nvidia, I feel like I have a good grasp versus TSM. I feel like I don't have as much of a grasp.
So think about TSM is basically the foundries that create all the chips. They manufacture everything. So they're getting paid by Nvidia to actually produce everything, all the silicon for them. And then Nvidia, I believe, is then taking those chips and on a consumer GPU side, they're partnering with an MSI or an ASUS, putting those chips in that architecture for the 5,000 series and 4,000 series, and then those are what you can buy on the shelf. But for Grace Hopper, they are constructing everything after TSM gets it back to them and then sending it out to the big companies. TSM, buying them, you're basically buying a company that is the number one foundry for chips in the world. And they do AMD's chips, they do Intel's chips, they do NVIDIA's chips. So you're basically buying the company that's building pretty much everything for the large companies. And looking at their numbers, I don't know how the hell none of us got this. And maybe not saying we didn't get it, but why we didn't allocate capital to it.
But I guess my
Because
question is if you think that the value of chips is going to be greater, are you saying it's a little bit a better of potential play because it's getting action from the AMDs, it's getting action from the NVIDIAs, it's getting the actions from the Intels, so you don't necessarily have to worry specifically about
their revenue
individual
stream is
stock?
diversified because they have so many companies that they are building product for, and they have a lot of future growth. Now, here's the thing: Nvidia's got more future growth, and I think that's why I'm leaning toward Nvidia. But this is real big growth on an EPS front for a company that size, and I'll show you the income statement in a sec. But on a revenue, just the next 2 years, we're talking about 20% plus in 26 and 27 for a company that's already doing 100 billion or more in revenue. So we're seeing a tremendous amount of growth in them. Now, the income statement is interesting, Matt, because look at the numbers on a quarterly. This is on a quarterly basis. Look at this pop here from Q1 to Q2. Look at that huge pop. And they were able to sustain it and grow quarter over quarter more. I mean, this doesn't seem like anything is reversing.
Have they been growing faster than NVIDIA?
No.
I'm curious. This might be something that I'm just speculating here, tossing out ideas. Nvidia could be upcharging the shit out of what they're doing, and so their ops margins might be exploding. Versus these guys might just say, "Hey, we're charging 15% of whatever, you know what I mean, materials plus labor, and they're charging 15% to be able to just make that net margin." And they're just kind of saying, "Whatever you give us, we're just going to take 15%." And that's all TSM really is, right? They might have a better idea as to like how to control it. Versus an Nvidia, for example, eventually it's going to get to the point where either competitions, one of two things happens. They have to either continue innovating so they can keep their ops margins up, or over time to be able to continue to sell, they're likely the prices are going to go down on the chips. And so just like what we have been seeing, I think like originally we were talking about H100s that were like $100,000 a piece, and now I think they're getting to a place where they're slightly cheaper than that, even potentially more. I don't know, kind of talking out of my butt, but um, the thought that I don't know how the business model works per se. So to understand, is TSM just better because even if the net margins go down for Nvidia, TSM is still going to be making the same amount of money? I don't know the answer. I'm just kind of
I couldn't tell you
thinking.
the answer. All I can tell you is that over the past year, TSM is up 58.5%.
Compared to Nvidia, which was up 63, 64%.
Nvidia over the past year is up 36.5%.
What?
You're thinking about their growth rate year over year.
I'm thinking about Meta. Sorry, Meta was up 60.
No, Meta's down, isn't it? Hold on. Nvidia's Q3 revenue growth was up 63% year over year in Q3. It's probably what you were thinking of. Meta is only up 8.5% over the past year.
Am I crazy? Oh, I'm thinking Google. Google was the one that was up 64% over the past year.
You are right. 66%.
There was only two
Yeah,
companies that beat
outdone
the
Apple.
S&P. Yeah, there's only two Mag 7 that beat. It was
Well, three: Nvidia, Apple, Google. Oh no,
Apple did
Apple
not.
did. Nvidia, Google. I thought Apple did. They didn't. Interesting.
But yeah, gentleman is asking. He paid a nice super chat, much appreciated. Asking about you, ticker symbol YOU, Clear Source. So I don't know anything about the company, just to bluntly put it. And what I do see is that they show up in every airport that I've been in, and nobody's ever in their lines. But it seems like they're making money. So,
What is this company, Matt?
YOU.
No, what do they do? Clear Secure?
Oh, they do the biometrics, so it's kind of like
Gotcha.
pre-check. Yeah, like pre-check at airport security that allows you to kind of streamline. So it's like you kind of already have an ID, um, and you just scan it much quicker. Um, they know who you are, a little bit more about it. So
All right. Well, what are we doing for the next what are we interested in for the next quarter? So second week 2026 is upon us. I don't think we've really learned anything yet. I think this whole Venezuela thing is going to monopolize the news, but I think we're rolling into Q1 earnings real quick. I'm looking for financials to lead the way again, and I think we're going to see a story of implementation of AI, and then the hyperscalers tell us that demand for compute is off the charts and they need to spend more money. That's what I think this quarter is going to end up being. What do you think?
I would like to see a lot of the same. The thing that I'm going to be that's in the back of my mind though, which has been for the past couple months, so this isn't new to you, is I still think that narrative around Oracle will continue into 2026. Not specifically
Great.
just Oracle, but will it spread to other companies where they have to go into a large amount of debt to be able to fund um, the uh, the capital expenditures that the companies wish to do. And I feel like the thing that will be most obvious is like Facebook, for example. They're going to continue to grow capex for next year, and so if their ops income doesn't grow, then they're going to have to take debt out. But I'm cautiously optimistic that you'll see some growth in that arena, and so potentially they'll just be able to ride up that curve and kind of stay and hang around the free cash flow break even. So anyway.
I agree with you on Oracle. I do think that that story will continue for quite some time, only because they're at a negative free cash flow standpoint and they're at a significant negative cash to debt multiple, and their debt is out of control for the amount of cash from operations the company generates. When you're not generating now, unless 2026, the only thing that I think can save their stock price from either just going sideways or going lower is if they can show cash from operations can expand quicker than their spending in capex in the second half of 26. I don't think that's going to happen though. I don't believe this will spill over to Microsoft, Alphabet, and Amazon and Meta. Their financials are just too strong. And they haven't shown a history of biting off more than they can chew. Oracle has, and they continue to prove it.
You
So
said Amazon hasn't?
Amazon has not been off more than they can chew. Their cash
You mean
operation,
recently or just in history?
no, recently, their cash from operations has expanded so much, and Amazon gets a pass because they've had to put up so much money to build out the logistical network. The data centers, yes, it's a big number, but they invested so heavily to beat everybody on logistical. I mean, they have the best supply chain behind the Department of Defense. So I give Amazon a pass for the limited free cash flow that they generate because of that, only because we see how big their cash from operations has gotten and it continues to expand. Now, they also don't have a situation like Oracle on the balance sheet. Oracle's balance sheet sucks. Like it is bad. It's really bad.
It's
If
definitely the bookend. Yeah.
Yeah, look, the bookend sucks. I think that they could be right. Like this is like when I say that it sucks, I don't think Oracle's going away. It's just the numbers are not nearly as enticing as an Amazon, a Meta, an Alphabet, or a Microsoft. You put those up against each other, it's not as enticing. Now, if what Oracle's situation spills over to some of the other companies in the Mag 7 this year, my 8,000 number on the S&P is screwed. There's no question about that. The narrative will change most likely. If it doesn't and this becomes isolated with Oracle, I think things will be fine.
Other things for 1Q, I don't think that the Trado is directly in. I think for crypto, things like BM&R, it's going to be a watch quarter. I don't think that you start to make big moves. If you want to, like obviously I say this a lot, like the price is what the price is, right? And so if you honestly think that it's a great price and you want to buy it here compared to where you think it's going to be in the future, then sometimes you just got to buy it. But I just personally think that crypto is not really going to show its face until the second quarter or third quarter in terms of being able to like actually start to stock up. And so I am cautiously optimistic you'll start to see some slippage in the first quarter, but I don't think it's going to be enough where I'd be entering a trade like Robinhood or Coinbase or something like that. But I am seeing favorable movements for me to buy in, right? Not favorable movements in terms of appreciation, but more favorable movements in order for me to establish positions in things like Coinbase and Robinhood. Because I think that those will be opportunities towards the latter half of the year that will pay a lot of fruit going forward. Yeah, I don't see any rate cuts. I'm with you. I think March will be tough to see a rate cut.
Same.
January's off the table for me. What else is there, Steve? Are you talking about just earnings or all 1Q?
No, just what are we looking for this quarter? I mean, I agree with you. I don't think we're getting a rate cut till May, June.
Yeah. I don't think I think there's obviously going to be some escalation going on with China and Russia associated with this Venezuela thing. So I'm sure there's going to be some pounding associated with that, likely some pullbacks, some bloody days potentially in the S&P. I don't think it's cautiously optimistic that we won't see any extended multi-week drawdowns or anything like that, like we saw in November of 25 and April of 25, associated with tariffs and some other things that happened November 25. But definitely think that we're not out of the woods on that yet. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. I'm curious though. Did you watch the latest Compound and Friends or no?
I have not. This weekend's been
That's true. You were out. Sorry.
difficult for me. I haven't even written an article yet this weekend.
Steven, slacking.
I know. I'm going to try to bang one out tonight.
How else do I put this? So this is the top turnaround stocks that they provided. Maybe I'll share the tweet. So they provided, which at first I was like top stocks, and then I re-listened.
This is going to be our last topic, Matt, because I want to head out before when Amit goes live. Yeah. So
yeah, I agree. Respect Amit's time.
Yeah.
So they provided 6 opportunities, and I'm pretty upset with myself because I was just listening and I wanted to keep listening and reading and do other things. I really wish I, in retrospect, did what I wanted to do with this post, which was they kind of gave color around why they're choosing these companies. And then they went into a little bit about how there was 2 tranches, or there's multiple deciles of companies in 2025 that outperformed. So really the top quartile did one of 2 things. The top quartile of companies in 25 either had a phenomenal 2024. That was the majority of them. So yes, there's going to be outliers in there. So they basically had a great 24 and continue to have a great 25. I'm thinking companies like Palantir in there. And then there's the companies like that had horrible 2024s where they were basically rebounding. And that was kind of like Uber, for an example. Uber had a horrible 24, and so they had a decent 25. But there's thoughts that Uber could potentially have an even better, potentially 2026. And so these are the companies: Lululemon, Nike, Netflix, Uber, Adobe, and CRM. I already know how you feel about CRM, but I'm curious about any of these other ones. What turnarounds do you see, and or would you add or subtract from this list?
I don't want to piss anybody off in the chat, but
I'm already pissed.
You're not in the chat. You're live.
There it is. You don't.
Lululemon is difficult for me because the reality is that I hate that industry. Clothing sucks. They have so much competition. Everyone, Amit is live, so please spam CRM when you go over there. Matt and I are ending in like 1 minute. So
You're good, man.
You can go over there now. Have fun. Nike, I don't really like, even though it's very interesting from a numbers standpoint. I just think it's a difficult business. That doesn't mean these companies can't go up. It's just not for me at the moment. Although some people in the chat have made the case on Nike, like Lena, and I looked into it more. It is somewhat interesting. I looked into Disney more. It's somewhat interesting, but I think there's more value other places. Netflix, I don't like because I think that this is a company that's not going to get the deal done because I think the FTC is going to not allow it to happen with Warner Brothers Discovery. And I think it's going to get punished for it, and they're going to have to pay out $5.8 billion. Now, if they get the deal done, different story. I think that they become the powerhouse in the industry, and that Warner Brothers deal is not make or break, but it's critical for Netflix. Uber's interesting. I think Uber will be good. Adobe, I'm worried about because I think the reality is that we don't know what AI is going to be able to do for creators that utilize the Adobe Premiere package. I would be worried about that. I don't know enough about the business to say otherwise. And Salesforce is just the highest quality stock, in my opinion, on this list. even though Adobe has great numbers and great margins, I like Salesforce a lot. So the only one out of here that I own and that I am interested in is Salesforce.
Interesting. None of the others.
Mm-mm.
Well, I encourage you to watch it. I mean, it was a really good episode. That's how I got the information about the two Mag 7s that outperformed Meta or Google and Nvidia, and the other 5 just underperformed the SPY. There was a lot of good conversation in there. So,
Well, what I encourage is that everybody go follow Matt, please, if you're not already following him. I'm going to link his YouTube channel in a moment. I got to find his YouTube channel first. So give me a sec. I freaking clicked on your freaking thing and it's not bringing up your goddamn YouTube channel. I don't know why.
it is what it is.
Here we go.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So if you're not following Matt, please go follow him at Matt Real Money or at Real Matt Money. Sorry with that. And we're going to head out. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Really appreciate it. Great to see everybody. Chels, June, Michelle, everyone. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. And go check out Amit. And we'll see everybody later. Have a great night.
Posting Amit's in the chat.
Later.